Let's take a look at sample Java code from our presentation. And this time, since I already have a main function in place, I will copy and paste only the internal part of the main method as presented here. So I can just copy and paste into my program, which should be all fine. I just normally create some space for me to paste this in. Control C, Control V, paste it in. And I'll show you a tip that when you're copying and pasting the code, which happens a lot, it's easy to have it messed up like this, so there is no proper indentation, there's some kind of alert shown and things like this. So a good thing to remember is that you can always go to the source and say format. This will use a default formatting options of NetBeans, and you see it does a relatively okay job. I don't like some of these comments align like this, so I can just use the tab key to insert some white space to align these comments the way I like. So just don't worry about this code. It's just an example of some source file with some code. I also would like to, as you can see, when the size of these methods keeps growing, sometimes it's difficult to distinguish which closing brace represents what. So I tend to copy the name of a method and add a simple comment at the end like this to mark the ending or closing bracket of this main method and all other methods that I create. So you don't have to do this, but it's a good idea to control it. Now, I also changed the size of the font used in this window by holding down the Alt key on my Windows 10 keyboard and use the scroll wheel of my mouse to adjust the size of the font in the source editor. Just be aware that this is a nice convenient way to adjust your source window. Also, you see that I'm alerted that something is missing, and it's missing because when I copied this portion of the sample, I ignored the import statement. Import statements allow us to access various facilities from Java library. So Java library facilities are not all automatically included when we compile our programs. So at the moment the scanner is an unknown identifier and the compiler will not know what it is. So normally if you have missing something like this, and my habit is just to go here, say clean and build, it'll show you some messages, and normally you just need to worry about the first error message and ignore the rest of them. So right here it says that it cannot find this symbol. You can click on it as a link and it brings you to the line which violates some kind of rule. When I know that something is missing, I typically right click and choose to fix imports. It's another nice feature to remember. I use it often. It simply prompts me to include correct import statements like this one here that would match my names in the source file. So clicking fix import just magically insert this import statement on top of my file. We'll see more uses of this in the future, but like I said, the option is here, fix imports. So this is why you want to use integrated development environment, so it can automate these types of things for you. Okay, so this program just does a little bit of work and creates some variables and gets input from the user. Don't worry about this content just yet. Let's just go through the topics in the presentation. So overall, Java program is a collection of classes just like this one. There is a main method in every Java application program. So if we have an application, main method has to be present with this specific signature, that it's public, static, and void. and if you incorrectly place any of this, it will simply not recognize your main method as the place where the program is supposed to start. In fact, let's now try to build this. Before I build, I have a habit of saving everything. It's very convenient right here. And then we say clean and build one more time. And this time, if I click my output window, this took care of my initial problem and everything built correctly. Now, if I try running this application, it prompts me that this configuration has to specify which main method inside which class am I going to use to be able to run this program. So this already finds my main method inside class named main app, because this is the reason I named it. And so I can just simply say OK and set it automatically. But I'll show you that sometimes you may want to change it to something different, and you need to know how to change it. So instead of just clicking OK right now, just say cancel. Then go to the project view, right click, select project properties, choose run, and this is where you can specify your main class. In Java environment, this class actually exists under the package name week2. So we need to specify it like this if we want to do it manually. Week02 is the name of the package that I'm using. Then you use the period, and you need to type the name of your class minus main app. Watch out for uppercase and lowercase characters and the overall syntax of this. It needs to match exactly the name of your package, the period separating them, and the spelling of your class name. So hopefully if I did this, and now I select OK to make updates in my project properties, this time it will remember it and I will be able to run the code. I just didn't want to show you this magic OK click and make sure that you recognize that all project properties and settings are under your control. So anyway, it seems like everything should be OK now. So I just click run button. Right here at the top, run, and you see that it begins the execution of the program. So it says welcome to invoice total calculator, enter subtotal 0.99, and it does some calculation and prints the report like this. Now there is something else I would like to show you. When you click this run button inside NetBeans IDE, you see how this IDE is using my output console, or this output window, to be able to interact with me and print text and so forth. So I can totally ignore it and go right back to the code, and notice that it's running. So for instance, I want to make a change, and I will add a colon right here and add a space, something very trivial as a change, and then I'd like to save it. And of course I can just again click the run button, but notice that at the status bar right here at the bottom of my screen, it shows me that there is an instance of this program already running. I would never like to run multiple instances of my program. I just want to run the latest version of it. So just be aware of it, and anytime you see this, you can either go back to the output window and finish this running, or you can click this little X control, this little button, to cancel the process. And there are perhaps other ways to do this through the menus, but I tend to do it right here, and I click this, and it will simply cancel the running Java application right here. So I just say yes, and it says stopped, and I'm happy with that. So now it's clear, so now I can rerun my application, and now you see that my change is taking place, and I can see it now in my interface. So just a few little tricks, and when you start running programs that are waiting for user input, it's easy to forget about this and go back to do more editing. For instance, now I would like to get rid of this and start it again, just like this. And you see, now I have two of these running. So this is somewhat confusing and totally unnecessary, and I think it's the wrong choice for you to make. So basically, just make sure that you close the windows that are running, whichever way you choose, like this. And when you're ready to test your application, okay, so it's all stopped now. When you're ready to test your application, just be sure that you are not running some previous copies of this program already in memory. It's just a simple tip.